Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining my session. Today, I have a fun presentation for you because, well, let's be honest, what can be more fun than data and Legos? Okay, first thing first, my name is Veronika Durgin, and I usually try to have fun with my intro slides. So here we go. These are all of the jobs that I have. Okay, so the first job is I am a self-proclaimed chief mom officer. I have 2 kids, or well, 3 if you count my husband. It's an unpaid job and I have to be on call 24/7, but it's probably the most frustrating and rewarding job at the same time. I am also a Snowflake data superhero, another fun, albeit unpaid job. Snowflake data superhero status is awarded to people who are engaged in the data community and share their knowledge about Snowflake through presentations, blogging, and are answering various questions on different forums. As part of this program, I also have my very own superhero cape and an avatar that you can see on my slide. Now, for my paid job, I oversee data at Saks. Saks is the premier digital platform for luxury fashion. We're driven by a mission to help customers express themselves through relevant and inspiring style. I've been working with data for over 2 decades in various different roles, ranging from a junior DBA to my current role as the Vice President of Data. I have a master's degree in software engineering, and I'm also a certified Data Vault practitioner. If you want to chat about data modeling or Data Vault, please reach out to me, and you can see that QR code, scan that QR code to connect with me on LinkedIn. But enough about me. I'm sure you know that it takes more than just buying a new tool to ensure that companies derive value from data. Technology is honestly the easiest part of this triangle. We also need to focus on our people and processes. Show me the money. 2023, this year, is the year of economic downturn pressure and financial instability. While there has always been pressure on data teams to deliver value, this year we seem to have more pressure to deliver value and faster. Data teams need to extract value from data. They need to turn that into insight and insight into action. But doing it fast does not mean that we sacrifice quality. Bad quality data could lead to some very bad decisions and poor outcomes that could impact the health of any company. Deliver versus build. We really need to focus on delivering value and not just building for the sake of building. Long gone are the days when we could spend months, if not years, building out massive data platforms. Our businesses are real time, and our customer will not wait for us. In order for data to be useful, it needs to be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And the fastest way to accomplish this is by keeping our solutions and platforms simple. That is actually very, very hard. But the simplest solution is almost always the best, and it's the easiest to support and enhance. Uncompromising security and governance is not just about data compliance laws, though there are plenty of those across the world with new ones popping up just about every month. When our customers know that we treat their data like our own, they will trust our companies and our brands. Data lifecycle always starts on the left. We have to collect data first, and it's important that we collect all the data that we need. We cannot wish data to appear after an event happened. Data is generated by devices and applications. It's formatted and stored in the most optimal way to support capabilities of those applications and devices. For this data to be usable for analytics, it needs to be acquired, cleansed and structured in a specific way. It needs to be integrated and enriched, and of course, documented. We need to ensure that this data is both secure and accessible to people and tools that need it. Now you're probably wondering what Legos have to do with any of that. Well, a few years ago, I was asked by my mentee if I had to explain in one sentence, what would I say I do for a living? And my answer was this: if data were Legos, I sort Legos. But what do I actually mean by that? This image traveled the internet a few times over the past few years. It's not a novel idea to compare data to Legos. Perhaps it's not a perfect analogy either, but let's just go with it. So if I were to add an analytics hierarchy of needs alongside this image, it would look something like this. What does it take to build something from a pile of mixed Lego bricks? Or in the case of data, what roles do we need on our data teams to convert a massive pile of data into products that are both built with purpose and are creative and can be used by our customers to both deliver value to our customers as well as help us achieve competitive advantage? All right, let's dive in. DBA, Database Administrator. A role of a DBA has been around for a very long time. It's actually the role that I had when I first started my career. Various platforms and tools over the years promised to make the role of the DBA obsolete. And while parts of the job became unnecessary, like for example, software installations and patching, other parts became even more important, like performance tuning. After all, a query that runs fast is cheap. DBAs are the ones that manage appropriate access to various databases as well. They architect database systems in a way that minimize downtime in case of a disaster. DBAs are always the first line of defense for any production issue. They need to have a quick mindset and be able to withstand pressure to resolve various production issues in the shortest time period. DBAs also know SQL really well. They know scripting like PowerShell. A lot of them have very deep knowledge of specific platforms like Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, or Postgres. If you know a DBA, make sure to give them a virtual hug today and tell them that you really appreciate them. Data Ops. True Data Ops offers an approach of how to apply data ops to increase efficiencies and reusability, decrease cost, and create collaborative environments for the data teams. Now is more important than ever to keep architecture and patterns as simple and repeatable as possible. Data ops teams follow DevOps principles for data to enable the teams to standardize their processes and CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, to ultimately help increase throughput. Implementing best practices for data ops is not just about automation of deployments, testing, observability, monitoring, and alerting. All of those are very important. It also helps automate the principle of least privilege while enabling users to have access to a wide variety of data, which ultimately enables data orgs to democratize data in a safe and secure manner. A set of skills that a data ops engineer needs to have is be comfortable with CI/CD process. They need to know basic DevOps principles. They should be comfortable with scripting, as well as be aware of various data architectures. Data governance. A data governance person or a team are responsible for establishing process and rule to ensure that data is accessed and processed in a safe and compliant manner. They ensure that data inconsistencies across various systems in the organization are resolved. They help business come up with common definitions and common language and document them. What you see on the screen are both images of a crane, but clearly these are completely different cranes. Data governance professional will help define and establish common language around both of them. Data governance members need to be able to work in partnership with legal and info security to implement proper classification and processes to identify and tag compliant data. They leverage masking and anonymization techniques to secure that data. They also remind us that it's very important that we maintain the least number of copies of the data we keep around. Some of the skills that they need to have, obviously communication. Data governance professionals are very organized. Sometimes we'll call them data librarians. Some of them also know how to write SQL to do some data wrangling. Data product managers. Data teams need to adopt product mindset. But what does that actually mean? It means that we need to understand what questions business wants to answer and what outcomes they want to achieve. We also need to understand business value of the insights and how they align with the company goals. Then we develop solutions to provide insights to address these needs while abstracting these solutions into products for reusability. That's a lot of words. Well, data PMs help with all of that. This job became one of the harder jobs in the past few years in the data space. In the past, data was often an afterthought or software exhaust. But with the amount of data that's been generated by various businesses and the cloud technology that enabled us to process all of this data, companies started to realize that data is a valuable company asset. And delivering insights from this data is not only beneficial for improving operational efficiencies, but also helps deliver better value to our customers. Because after all, the more we know about our customers and how they use our products, the better experience we can serve them. There is a big difference in complexity between the two Lego sets. And while both are Hogwarts, the one on the top is smaller and not as detailed, and therefore can be built and delivered faster. This is an example of the trade-offs that a data product manager helped data teams to work through. Some of the skills that a data product manager needs to have is communication. They need to be able to communicate with businesses as well as data teams. They're very organized. Some of them know how to write SQL. Many of them know how to use various BI platforms. Data architect. Data by itself is not very helpful or useful. I know it's surprising, but for data to be useful, we actually need to know its context. A business-focused data model helps document that context. So data plus context equals information that ultimately leads into actions. A job of a data architect is to understand business concept and how various business units use their domain data. Data architects also lead design of complex data systems and solutions. They often time create data models. Again, they design data platforms, and they also design data security frameworks. They often define and manage guidelines to ensure data quality. Skills that need to have, again, communication. Data architects need to be able to communicate with businesses as well as other engineering organizations, whether it's software engineering, data engineering, or anything else. Data architects need to know various data warehousing, modeling techniques, and they need to be familiar with data engineering concepts. ETL developer. This is a somewhat of an older title, and I'm actually not sure if there are any new roles that have ETL developer title. Back before cloud computing offered almost unlimited elasticity, on-prem system had pretty limited hardware. It was very important to optimize the use of that hardware. A job of an ETL developer was, so ETL stands for extract, transform, and load for those who don't know. So the job of ETL developer was to understand business and source system requirements and write transformations to deliver data based on those specific business needs. These professionals are really good with SQL and data warehouses. They also generally know one or more ETL tools like Informatica or Talent. So again, they spend most of their time on data profiling, writing transformations, data cleansing, and they also design and model data warehouses. Data engineer. I hope you all enjoy my little Lego screens and icons and how we transfer data from one place to another. So a data engineer, in many ways, is a Swiss knife of data title. In small organizations, you can probably see this title used in a more generic way for someone who pretty much oversees the entire data lifecycle. In larger companies, you can see more specialization for each of these bullet points that I have on the screen. For example, you can have a team dedicated to just writing pipelines. These people are generally, they have software development backgrounds, and they can use Python or Java. You can also see data architects or data warehouse architects with titles of data engineers, honestly, as well as ETL developers. These people that create data models and load data into these data models for easier analytics. Skills, well, SQL, Python, Java, Scala, Spark, data engineers are aware or really good at data warehousing concepts. A lot of them are also very comfortable dealing with unstructured data. Analytics engineer. So this is a newer title. It was initially coined by DBT Labs. They define an analytics engineer as someone who provides clean data sets to end users, modeling data in a way that empowers end users to answer their own questions. An analytics engineer follows data ops practices like source control and CI/CD. I love this title. An analytics engineer, in my mind, is an evolved role of a data architect and ETL developer who truly understand business domains really well. They create data models that reflect this business concept, and they focus more on transformation and less on extract and load part of the ELT, extract, load, transform. So they deploy code and data following DevOps principles. Some of the skills you can see that an analytics engineer has is obviously SQL. Some of them know Python. They're really well versed in data warehouse, data marts methodologies. Some of them know DBT, though this is not a requirement. Many of them know how to use visualization platforms as well. Data analyst or BI analyst. A data analyst needs to understand business needs and business domains in order to derive useful insights from data. Data analysts also create various data visualizations to share this insight with others. They're good at wrangling data, they're good at creating visualizations. Data analysts and BI analysts generally focus on kind of like the what happened and why it happened area of the hierarchical pyramid of analytical needs. They generally know SQL pretty well, and they're very comfortable with one or more visualization platforms, such as Tableau, Looker, or Power BI. Data scientist. So data scientists use statistical models to create algorithms that predict what will happen based on what happened in the past. They also use machine learning and AI to create predictions of the best outcomes for the business. Skills, statistics, SQL Spark, Python or R, and they should really be should be really good at communication to be able to understand business needs as well as to explain the outcomes of their statistical models to the business. Well, we talked about various roles in the data space. There's certainly more. Some are very nuanced and specialized, while others are for data unicorns. So I have a quick story for you. A few years ago, quite a few years ago, actually, my son was maybe 5 or 6 at the time. We were having dinner and he was sharing with us that he learned at school what the largest mammal was. And then he proceeded to ask us what the largest fish was, kind of still naively thinking that his parents knew everything. But that's a story for another day. So we didn't know what it was. And I said, after we're done with dinner, I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to look it up. And he said, Mom, why don't we just ask Alexa? And, we have a device in the kitchen. So we asked and Alexa answered. And while my solution to his problem wasn't incorrect, his solution was faster, delivered very quicker and required less effort. My solution was biased by my experience of what I've done, many years in the past. His solution did not have the same biases. So building a team with diverse backgrounds and experiences who are really thirsty for knowledge would enable us to create better data products faster. Depending on the needs of the organization's maturity, teams can have highly specialized members or jacks of all trades, kind of like we went through when I described various different data jobs. Data teams should be organized in a way that makes them feel empowered to do their best work, removes bottlenecks and inefficiencies, while also having guardrails in place to ensure that everyone can easily follow standards and best practices. Again, simple is the best and it's the easiest to support. And we need to make sure that we follow data ops principles to standardize and automate as much as possible. So I have this data lifecycle diagram here that I had in the beginning of my presentation. So now this is what it could look like if data was Legos. So I describe all the roles. So now you can kind of see what each role is responsible for within the data lifecycle. Well, we can't afford to take too long before delivering value to our users and our customers, or we will lose them. We need to be able to take risks and fail fast. We need to be nimble in order to keep with the changes around us. Data teams need to adopt the agile way of working. However, agile is not an excuse to do something fast but poorly. No one will challenge us if we have to spend 3 days on something instead of 2. Moving fast is really not an excuse for poor quality work. Scrum, Kanban, Agile Scrum Ban, use whatever helps bring business value in every sprint. I know we generally don't want to admit it, but we work better when we have deadlines. And from my experience with story pointing in hours is actually easier to understand for a majority of engineers. I've also seen preference towards sprints rather than perpetual Kanbans. Again, this seems to have to do with deadlines and the satisfaction of seeing completed work. Some other useful things for anyone working with data is make sure to limit duration of discovery work or spikes. We love to dive into various data rabbit holes. That's why we love what we do. But oftentimes we dive into the wrong ones. So if we limit duration of discovery or spike tickets, it helps us prioritize work that is important, that actually delivers value to our customers. We need to unit test our work, but it's important to release data for UAT quickly. I am a perfectionist and I would like to bring my data product to perfection, but we want to ensure that, again, we release data for UAT quickly because it ensures quick feedback loop. No matter how much time we spend on perfecting data, an end user will still find various things we need to improve on. So there's absolutely no reason to delay that feedback loop. Some of the other agile processes that I've seen work really well are steercos or steering committees with business where data teams share what they're working on and they ask business users to help them prioritize their backlog. Demos is another agile ceremony that I really enjoy, both team deep dive demos as well as company-wide business-focused demos. And while this might be an unpopular opinion, I am a strong believer that theory does not always work well in real life, and that we really need to take what we need and what works the best for our teams and leave everything else behind. The goal here is to enable the team to succeed and to deliver incremental value quickly and continuously. There are about 3 buckets of work. So business project work is the work that creates new capabilities or new insights. This is usually strategic advantage or operational efficiency work, and it's aligned with the company goals. There is another bucket of work, which is tech debt, keeping the lights on, or support. It's when we fix inefficiencies or shortcuts, we iterate to make improvements, we deploy code, we upgrade software, we integrate new tools. And of course, there is unplanned work, which is bug fixes, crashes, and escalations. Data teams need to ensure that they have time dedicated to each bucket of work. When there's pressure to deliver value fast, we tend to heavily focus on just the business project bucket. However, neglecting the tech debt support bucket will ultimately lead the data team to spend most of their time on unplanned work. So with that, thank you so much for being here with me and listening to me muse about Legos and demos. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please scan this QR code. Let me know if you have any questions and feel free to message me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect. Thank you.